ability is largely innate. So if these characteristics are inherent, and you were to attempt to consistently identify future great managers or entrepreneurs before there's a track record, how would you go about doing it? And in particular, could there be a way to know that before someone's made a lot of money, before they've built a business that they love and feel passionate about, that they will develop those types of qualities later in life?
That's a terrific question, and we have dodged it largely over the years by actually buying businesses from people where we've seen the record. In other words, I'm not sure I can go, in fact, I'm quite sure I can't go to an MBA class of 50 and sit down and talk with each one, examine their grades, examine their extracurricular activities, and whatever, talk to their parents. I'm not sure I could rank those 50 very well in terms of their potential for future business success. And of course, some of it would depend on what areas they entered into in business. So I think it's tough. I think it's tough to go out to the practice tee where people are not actually hitting balls, but just taking practice swings, and say which one is a 2 handicap and which one's a 15 handicap and which ones can make it on the tour. I think I can tell a little bit maybe, but not. But it's very hard to calibrate, and I don't think we've had much success, but we also haven't tried very much to identify people before they've had a record, to try and identify the ones that are superstars. Instead, we've taken the easy way, and we go and somebody comes to us with a business that's done phenomenally for 10 or 15 or 20 years, or maybe for 50 years. And we've seen what their batting average is. We've actually seen they batted 350 or whatever it may be in the major leagues. And we just make the assumption that we won't screw it up by hiring them. And we also make the assumption that they'll live to be 100 or 120 or something. And we buy the business. And that's far easier. It is far easier to tell the great baseball batters after you've seen a couple seasons of their batting than it is to go to college, even college baseball teams or high school baseball teams, and pick out the superstars. The one interesting thing, and I wish I could remember where I saw this study, and it may not even be a valid study, but I do remember seeing something many years ago where they tried to correlate business success with various variables, and they took grades in school and whether they got MBAs and all that sort of thing, and they found that the best correlation was with the age at which they started their own business first. The people that got very interested in starting lemonade stands or whatever tended to have better, that tended to correlate better with business success than other variables. We have found ourselves, we've got a lot of MBAs running businesses for us, but they ran them for a long time before we hired them or before we made the deal. And we've got others that never set foot in a business school. And I do think there's a lot to wiring. I think there's also a lot to working with the wiring you have and developing it over time. I don't think it's all innate, and I don't think you can't improve. I know you can improve on what you're given at birth, but I do think an awful lot of it's wiring, more so than I would have thought 30 or 40 years ago. And I've certainly seen it in business. There are people. No formal business training. Charlie never went to business school. But he thought about it. I never heard Charlie say anything dumb about business yet, except when he disagrees with me. The truth is, I've never heard him say anything dumb about business, period. And there are other people. I've never heard Tony Nicely say anything dumb about business, ever. They're wired so that it doesn't flicker. They get the answers. It doesn't mean they can, they'd be a great ballroom dancer or a great baseball player or a great politician, but they are wired for business. Charlie?
Yeah, part of it's intelligence and part of it is temperament. I don't know if Bill Genn is in the audience, but by the time I was 14 years of age, I knew Bill Genn would be rich. He was a classmate of mine in high school. He was a very intelligent man, and he wanted to be rich. And he was sensible in the way he handled life. I think sensible people with the right temperament and the right intelligence, if they live long enough in our system, will get rich. But temperament is, I think, to some extent inherited too, don't you?
Yeah. His daughter, incidentally, is a partner with my daughter in a knit shop, which I hope you patronize while you're. We've united again, and the Buffett family. Charlie, when did you first think business was something of interest to you?
Very early. I loved games of chance, and I loved trying to learn how to win at them.
Yeah, it's interesting for me, simply to think about the question of whether the Final Four of the NCAA will be canceled as opposed to postponed or transferred in locale, and to decide if we're going to pay out $75 million the next day, if it is canceled, then how much we want to receive in today to take care of that. And that probably wouldn't interest all kinds of people. That wouldn't be interesting to. And since my dad wouldn't let me become a bookmaker, I went into investments. Number 3.